ふにゃおはー。明けましておめでとうございます。今年もよろしくお願いします。ということでですね、先日ツイッターでこれやりたいなーって言ってたなんかスタンリーのやつやります。スマホなった。進むがなんていうの、戻る S のD ね。ジャンプがスペース。 OK。 英語は読めません。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
スタンリーしか分かんなかった。This is
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk
デ
in
スクに
room
向かいキーボード
427
のボタンを
and
押
he
すだ
pushed
けです。
buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him
指
through
令
a
は
monitor
机のモ
on
ニ
the
ターを
desk,
通して
telling him
教
what
えてくれました。
buttons
どの
to
ボタンをどれくらいの長さで押せばよいか教えてくれるのです。
This is what employee
何ヶ月も何年もこの
427
作
did
業を
every
日
day,
々繰り返していまし
every
た。
month of every year. And although others
他
might
の
have
人たちにとっては
considered it
魂が
soul-winning,
引き裂かれるようだったかもしれませんが、指令が変に楽しんでいました。まるでこの仕事をするために生まれてきたかのように。スタンリーは幸せでした。そしてある日なんだかとても奇妙なことが起きたのです。そんなスタンリーを永遠に変えてしまうような何かが、彼が決して忘れることがないであろう何かが。1時間近くデスクに向かっていたのに、モニターから一つも指令が来てないことに気がつきました。彼に指令を出す人も会議を開く人も挨拶をする人さえ誰もいません。なんだって？入社してから一度だってこんな完全な孤立はありませんでした。明らかに何か変だ。ショックで固まったスタンリーは長いこと身動きが取れなくなっていました。しかし落ち着きを取り戻すと、デスクを離れ彼の部屋を出て行きました。おお、動けるね。10時55分。戻る。ジャンプできない。なんか押せないのかな。コーヒー。操作慣れない。かけろ。閉まってる。全員いなくなってしまったのです。どういうことだろう。スタンリーは会議室に向かうことにしました。おそらく彼は伝言を見落とし、紙が落ちている。スタンリーがどれだけ一生懸命探しても同僚の痕跡は見つかりませんでした。うわぁ、電源消えちゃった。ごめん。なんか大事な作業してたらごめん。切れないだ。何も起こらない。外はどうなってるんだろう。何あっちイベント？オッケー。開かないね。会議室どこな？もしかしてこれ方向音痴も辛いゲームか？スタンリーの前に2つの開いたドアがあり、彼は左の方のドア、左ってこっちだよな。左に行けばいいな。これ、あれだね。閉められた。あれだね。なんか、広告入ってきただけにあったところだね。左のドアに入りました。 って書かれてるけど、右を選んでもいいってやつだね。外見えないね。暗。怖っ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office,
上の階にあ
hoping
る
he
上
might
司のオフ
find
ィ
an
ス
answer
に行
there.
くことにしました。かろうじて曜日だけわかるぞ。43×48 do not あれで英語わかんないよ。なんだこいつ。ジャンプできないよ。ことこ。階段を探せばいいんでしょ。しまった。戻れない。あ、階段あった。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
と
boss's
りあえず
office.
は指令通りに動いてみましょうか。おしゃれ。おーい、どこ。鏡映んない。幽霊か俺。なんかつく？つかんねえ。こっちは開かないね。いい椅子だ。おしゃれ。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845だって。スタンリー知らないって言ってたけど。
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input
ラッ
the
キーで正しい
correct
暗証番号を入力したのです。すごいな。
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
ここ新しい部屋？あれ新しい部屋じゃなくない？どこ行けばいいの？あっちか。オッケーオッケー。何怖い。何これ。不穏な音が鳴っているよ。これ何？眩しいな。落ちたら死にそうだね。何すればいいんやろう。 つら死にそうじゃない？大丈夫か？暗くて何も見えないけど。次の指示は？何も起こらないけど。進むしかないのか？落ちてみる？あ、床あんの？オッケー。怖い怖い怖い。何？ローディング
？Descending deeper into the
奥深
building,
くスタンリ
Stanley
ーをスタンリ
realized
ーは
he
少し
felt
奇
a
妙
bit
な感じがす
peculiar.
ることに気がつ
It
きま
was a
した。
stirring of
胸
emotion
の
in
中で
his
感情を
chest,
揺さぶ
as
られ
though
ま
he
した。
felt more free to think for
己の
himself,
仕事の本
to
質を
question
問
the
うこ
nature
と
of
を
his
より
job.
自由に感じた
Why
ので
did
し
he
た。
feel this
何でも
now,
思ったことも
when
な
for
かったの
years
に
it
なぜ
had
今になっ
never
てそう
occurred to
感じ
him?
るのだろう。
This question would
疑問
not
は
go
そう長
unanswered
く
for
続か
long.
ないでしょう。何怖い？何？火花散ってた。怖。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the
マイ
large
ンドコ
door
ン
that
トロール
read
施設と
Mind
書かれた
Control
大
Facility.
きなドアを抜け、まっすぐ進みました。怖いな。こっち行ってみるか。マインドコントロール怖いから。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
死ぬの？じゃあ戻る。
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and
生きる
realized
の
he
に多
simply
くのもの
had
を
too
抱え
much
す
to
ぎてい
live
ると気
for.
づきました。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
巨大な
What
部屋に明か
horrible
りが。
secret did this
ここに
place
はどんなに
hold?
恐ろしい秘
Stanley
密があ
thought
る
to
のだろう。
himself.
スタンリーは
Did
そう
he
思い
have
ま
the
した。
strength
彼
to
にそれを
find
知る
out?
だけの力を。ジャンプ使わないね。何もないね。押してみるか。ずっとな。
Now the monitors
Go, go,
jumped to
go.
life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's
従業員
co-workers,
番号。
the lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a
その中の一人で
screen,
した。
and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place
永
where
久に監視
freedom
され
meant
続け
nothing.
ていたのでした。怖いなぁ。誰か人いないかな。フィレッド。スタンリーの番号何番だっけ？この赤字なんだろうね。ピラテ。こっちかな。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe it couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his
退屈
boring
な仕事を
job?
幸せ
That
に
his
感じてい
emotions had been
それ
manipulated
を
to
気づかないう
accept
ちに
it
受け入れてた
blindly?
のでしょうか。 早いな、進むな。読ませてくれよ。怖い、言っていいの？
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
ゾッとしますよね。そんなこと可能なのでしょうか。彼は今までの生活を本当に何も気づかないまま過ごしてきたのでしょうか。降りて大丈夫？しかし、ここに証拠があったのです。オペレーション、幸せ、悲しい、満足のラベルがつけてあります。歩くこと、食べること、働くこと、そのすべてがここで監視され、命令されていたのです。そして過去の讃岐がする。現実を認識し始めたスタンリーはこの機会に人々の人生を脅かす恐ろしい力を二度と克服する。これっきり完全に解体するのです。どうやって？ちょっと奥まで見に行くか。お。こっち何？英語読めない。
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
彼が幸せならそれでいいじゃないか。でも英語読めないの。システムパワーか。システムパワー。どっち？オンだな。オンにしとこう。
Oh, Stanley. You didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
それはあなたがしたかったことなんですか？
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go.
あなたはもうそれに構わないで制御装置を切り、そして出ていくはずでした。もしあなたが私の話をそらしたいのは、もっとうまくやらないと。残念だけど、あなたは自分の例えばこうすれば分かってもらえると思うんですけど、ネットワークの緊急爆破システムを起動させたことに気がつきました。
In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation?
爆発までどれくらいある？言うなれば、2分かな。あ、今ちょっと楽しくなってきた。そうでしょ、スタンリー。きっとあなたが輝くことが来ましたよ。あなたはスターだ。表現してください。これはもっと以来ずっといい。なんてもったいないんだ、それを楽しむための中時間は。一心一心が大切なのがじゃん。
More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
死んじゃった。はあ、夢だったのか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
夢だったっぽい
Stanley
よ。
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
それを褒め
just
た
to
たえたかったの
admire
で
it.
しょう。
Yes,
ああ、そうです。
truly a room
この
worth
部屋、本当
admiring.
に。
It had really been worth the detour after all,
本当遠
just
回
to
りした
spend a
甲斐があ
few
った。
moments here in
美
this
しくない
immaculate,
美しい
beautifully
作りの部屋
constructed
です。
room.
ほんの少ししかな
Stanley
かった
simply
ね。
stood here, drinking it all in.
使えない。
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
最初の左の部屋に戻りました。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
ここ何？あー、どこに連れて行く気だ。
But Stanley didn't want to go back
オ
to
フィ
the
スに戻り
office.
たくなか
He
ったの
wanted
で
to
す。
wander
彼は
about
さまよ
and
さらに
get
ルー
even
トを外れ
further
て行こ
off
うとし
track.
ました。
So now in order to get back,
そう、
he
だ
needed
から
to
今
go
戻るために彼は、行く必要がありません。
From here, it's left.
レフト？
Oh no, no, it's to the right. My mistake.
違うって言われた。
No, 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 no. Not
右
the
じゃない。
right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly. Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
髪がカサカサ言う音。
Now let's
さ
see.
て、
What
どれ
we've
どれ。
done. Right,
私たちは、
left, down,
右、左、下、
left,
左、
right.
右と進みました。
Okay,
はい、
okay,
オッケー、
yes.
オッケー、はい、
I've
わか
got
っ
it
た。
now. This story is
このストーリーは
absolutely
絶対に間違いなく
definitely
こっちです。
this
オ
way.
ッケー。こっち？引っかかった。
No, 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 no. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet.
あ
This is
な
all
たはまだここ
spoiler.
に来ちゃダメなん
Stanley,
です。
close your
スタ
eyes.
ンリー、目を閉じて。
Okay,
あ、オッケーオッケー。はいはい、私たちはただ、私たちは戻らなくて、なんてね。もう全然ダメだ。
The whole story completely
全編完
unusable.
全に使い物になりませんよ。こんな無意味なところに時間を。無駄にするくらいなゲームを最初からリスタートするので、そしたらもう、ブラブラこんなに脱線しないと思いますけど、オッケー、頭から。戻されたんですけど。4、2はって。覚えた？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, no, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago.
ここにあったんで
I know for
す。こ
sure
の
that
辺
it's
に
here somewhere.
は絶対あると思うんですけど。オッケー、じゃあ
It's
冒
an
険だ。
adventure. Come, Stanley.
そう、スタンリー、ストーリーを見つけに行こうぜ。どこ行けばいい？こっち？入れない部屋があるんですけど。こっちだな。行動が自由になったぞ。どこ行く？
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever
こ
been
れは
on.
今ま
I
で
can
一番
promise
最
you
悪。
there
約束
definitely
書、ここには
was a
前にストー
story
リー
here
が確かに
before.
あったのです。
Do we just...
私たちはただこのゲームをまたリスタートする必要がある。まあ何度やり直すことで進展なんてないでしょうけど。
But it's got to be better than this.
でもこれよりは
Okay, let's
マ
give
シ
it a
です。
shot.
OK、
Why
やって
not?
みようじゃないか。戻されたんですけど。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story.
ストーリー来た来たー。
No, wait, never mind.
いや、待って。なんでもない。このストーリーじゃない。よし、別の道へ引き返して、左を辿ってみましょう。じゃないか。この道だったっけ？
Now this,
さて、これは、正直に言うと、ここは全く見覚えないし、
I don't think so.
ストーリー、私は違うと思う。全然思い出せないんですけど、でも私のストーリーはオフィスビルが舞台だったような。あれ？
Do you remember, Stanley?
あなたは覚えてますか、スタンリー。
Since I've completely
完
forgotten what
璧
we were
に忘れ
supposed
ちゃ
to
っ
be
たから、
doing,
こういうのは
how
どうでしょう
about
か。
this? You win!
あなたの勝ちおめでとうございます。ありがとうござい
I know you
ま
put in a
す。
lot of hard work, and it really paid off.
本
So,
当もよくくれ
good
たかった。
job.
Good job.
Oh no.
違う違う。全然
I
こんな
don't
の
feel
違う
right
気が
about
す
this
る。
at all. We both know you didn't put in any
あ
actual
なた
work
が
for
勝
that
利の
win.
ために。
Some people win fair and
先生だ
square,
ったか
and
と
this
しても
was
今
not
回
one
は
of
そう
those
いう状況
situations.
じゃありませんでしたし。
Okay? I'm
OK。
getting weirded
こ
out
こは
by
ね、
whatever
あ
this
と
place
私は
is.
引いてま
I
す。
don't care what might happen
今
this
回は
time.
何があって
I
も構い
have
ま
to
せん。
restart.
リスタートしなくては。
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't
今
get
回は
lost,
迷子にならないよう
I've employed
に。
the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
オッケー。あ、こっちね。こっち？こっち？合ってる？こんな道通ったら覚えないけ
You
ど。
see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to
進めスタンリ
destiny.
ー運命ぞ
Here's a
ぱ
thought.
い思いついたこと
Wouldn't
があります
wherever we end up
た
be
どり
our
着いた先が
destination,
どこであ
even
る
if there's
それは
no
目的
story
地な
there?
の想像す
Or
る
to put it
くださ
another
い
way,
目的
is
地
the
のないストー
story
リー
of
は
no
それともストーリー
destination
なのでしょう
still
か
a story?
上
Simply by the act of
前進
moving
するという
forward,
こう
are
意は
we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being
壁に書いてあ
via
る
the
ん
very
ですけど
manifestation of the nature of
旅を意
life
味してい
itself?
るのでしょう
Okay,
か
Stanley, I need to
スタンリ
follow
ー
this
私
train
は
of
この
thought for a minute. Just
思
stick
考
with
回
me.
路をたどる
Now we can
必要
both
が
agree that the
今
nature of
存在の
existence is
本
in
質は
fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on.
Whoa.
That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now
気分
is a
が
bit
明
of
るくない
music to
なちょっ
lighten
と
the
スター音
mood.
楽だと思うんです何怖い音楽ならそんといてじゃあうるさいな
Cut the music,
音
go
楽を止
back
めて
and look
持
at
っ
that
て
fan.
シダを見ようギザ
Wait, what? We're back at the
待って
office?
我々オフィスに戻るのでしょうかダメ違う
Line. You do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no.
ダメ
Again,
もう
how
ダメだっ
could you have done
て
this to us? And after
な
we
んてこんな
trusted
こ
you,
とを信
after
じてたの
everything we've
に
been through,
いろいろ一緒になり
well,
か
I
け
can't take this
もう耐えられ
anymore.
ない
Hell
うん
with
ざりだ
it.
リスタ
Restart.
ート
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever
や
done
つが
for
私た
us?
ちに何を
We're
してくれ
intelligent
た
people, right?
私たちは
Why can't we
賢い
make
人
up
間
our
で
own
しょう。私
story?
自分たち
Something
自身
exciting,
何か一切金
daring,
斬新で
mysterious.
ミステリアス
This
なも
all
のは
sounds
完全に
perfectly
できそうです
doable. Why
ね
don't。we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
こっち
Now, yes, this
Yes,
is exciting. Just me and
exciting.
Stanley forging a new
新
path,
しい道、
a
新
new
しいストー
story.
リ
Well,
ー
it
を
could be
切り
anything.
開くので
What
す
do。you want our story to be? Go wild.
ワイルドに
Use your
強制想像
imagination.
力を働かせ
Whatever it might be,
て。
Stanley, I'm
あ、
ready
くるく
for
る
it.
すればいい。あ、まず来た。何もないよ。
Oh no, not you again.
また君
Stanley,
か。
I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor
さあ、モ
rooms.
ニタールーム
Just
を
don't
出す
acknowledge it.
さあ、そ
You
れを
should be
認
fine.
めない。セリフ早いな。ちょっと待ってくれよ。はい。
Ah, a choice.
ああ、選択。
We get to
私たち
make
が
a
決められるんだ。
decision. From here,
ここ
the
から
story
ストーリー
is in
は
our control.
我々の支配下にあるこのチャンスを無駄にしないことがいかに大切か。実際ここでちょっと考える必要があると思います。1分ぐるぐる回ってみましょう。はいは
Okay.
い。
So I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
あ、目が回った。こっち
Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending.
混乱エンド
You're
ですね。
telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
I won't do it. それでタイマー止まった？
Does that mean, did we do
って
it?
ことはできたの？
Did
こ
we
の
break
サ
the
イクルを
cycle?
断ち切ったの？ こ
Whatever
の
it
計
is that
画を
made
したのは
this
一体
schedule. How would we even
どうやって知り
know?
得る？誰が来るのかな？何かが起こるのでしょうか？
Will something happen? So,
So,
Okay.
okay.
I guess now we just wait.
今はただ待つだ
I
けだ
suppose
ね。
in some way
こ
that
れ
this
は
is a
何らか
kind
の
of
形の
story.
ストーリ
Wouldn't
ー
you
の一種だ
agree?
と思いますけど、
I'm
どう
not
で
quite
しょう
sure
か？
if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're
旅の
always saying
途中
that
なのか。
life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
何？戻されたんですけど。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a
スタン
set
リー
of
の
two
前に
open
一つの
doors, he
開い
entered
た
the
ドア
door
が
on
あり、
his
彼は
left.
左のドア、左のドア
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
いけない。違った。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Two, 845.
めちゃくちゃ誘導してくるんだけど。何もされ方ないな。
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the
勝手に起動
door
した。
just opened all by itself.
勝手にドアが開い
And
たの
Stanley
で
got
す。
the hell along with the story. Well,
地
what
獄へ
did
と
you
落ちていきました。えらいこっちゃだって。そのまま居続けたらどうなんだろう。 何番だっけ？28何番？当たんないなぁ。いや、進むか。上に行けー。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again.
うるせえな。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
暗闇、そして不安で高まる心。やった！彼は勝ったのです。彼は機械を破壊して彼自身を誰かの支配から解放しました。自由はすぐそばにあったのです。しかし、さらに巨大なドアがゆっくりと開きますと、スタンリーはまだたくさんの謎が解き明かされていないことを思い出すのでした。同僚たちはどこへ行ったのでしょう。彼はどのように機械の支配から解き放たれたのか、この奇妙な建物には他にどんな謎があったのか。しかし太陽の光が部屋に差し込むと、彼はそんなことはもうどうでもいいと、幸福を探していたのだから。 おそらく彼の目的は理解することでもなく手放すことだったのでしょう。もはや彼が誰かからどこへ行かれるのかどう感じろ。どのような人生を生きようと、それは彼のものなのです。そしてそれは彼が知る必要があった全てのことでした。それが多分知る価値。スタンリーは開かれたドアを進みました。じゃあな、お前ら。スタンリーは肌を撫でる涼しい風や開放感、彼の目の前へ広がる新しい道のとてつもない可能性を感じていました。これはまさしくたった今起こるべくして起きたことだったのです。そしてスタンリーは幸せでした。アシューメントを獲得した。戻ってきたんですけど。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
クリアしたけど。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beauty. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
What's that?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
何でも
5 years
君にはなか
ago.
ったと信じられません。ここ行くしかないよな。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the
でも
wrong
なく
foot
て
here.
彼との
I'm
かも
not
しれ
your
ません。
enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else
他
can be
人を信
difficult,
じるのは
but the
難しい
fact
で
is
す。
that the story
で
has
も実
been
際子
about
供たち
nothing
で
but you
ずっと
all
他の
this
誰でもなく
time.
あなたのものだっ
There's
たのです。
someone you've been neglecting,
あなたが君に
Stanley.
求めてこなかった
Someone
誰
you've
かがいるんで
forgotten
す。スタンリー、あなたが忘れてしまった。
Please,
お願いだから
stop
一
trying to
人
make
で
every
全て
decision
を
by
決めようと
yourself.
しないで。
I'm not asking for me.
私
I'm
は
asking for her.
私のために尋ねているのではなく、
This is it, Stanley.
これはね、
Your
まさに
chance
ス
to
タンリ
redeem
ー、
yourself.
自分自身
To
を
put
取
your
り戻す
work
チャンスなので
aside.
す。
To let
取り
her
戻すの
back
です。
into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley.
彼女です
You
よ、ス
need
タ
to
ン
be
リ
the
ー。
one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
どうやってやればいいの？やれた。ここは？
Oh, Stanley, is that you?
あ、スタンリーなの？ちょっと待って、スイーディー。
I'm just pulling the bread out of the
ちょう
oven.
どオープンからパンを取り出してるの。
Alright.
オッケー。これでよし
Okay,
っ
there we
と。
go. All right,
さ
now,
て大
I
丈夫。
want you to come in and
今日
tell
の
me
仕
all
事はどうだ
about
ったのか教えてちょうだい。はははは、やったぜ。
Gotcha. Oh, come
おいおい、
on.
まったく本当に自分に愛する妻なんていると思った？
They wanna commit
君
their
に
life
人
to
生を捧
you.
げたいなんて思う人なんているの？ あえて主張しようと思うんだけど。あなたに見せたいものがあるんですよ。入って、実はここでは何が行われていたのか見せてあげましょう。
This is a very sad
スタン
story
リー
about
という
the
名
death
の
of a
男の
man
死に
named
ついて語った
Stanley.
とても悲しい物語。Your keyboard。何？英語わかんないよ。何すればいいの？先輩に押してみる？これかな。QWI。
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
X を押してください。はい。
Look at him there, pushing buttons,
ボタンを押し
doing
ている彼を見
exactly
てく
what
だ
he's
さい。
told to do. Now he's pushing a button.
今ランチを食べ
Now
ていま
he's
す。
eating lunch. Now he's
家
going
に帰り
home.
ます。仕事に
Now
戻りま
he's
す。
coming back to work. One might even feel
同
sorry
情
for
さ
him,
れ
except that he's
これは
chosen
彼
this
の
life.
選んだ人生なのです。F を押してください。F。
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
P。
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last,
ついに選択
choice.
です。
It barely even
扉
mattered
と向こう
what
に
lay
何がある
behind
か
each
さえほ
door.
とんど気
The
に
mere
な
thought
い。
that his
目を見
decisions
張る
would
もの
mean
がありまし
something
た。
was almost too wonderful to behold.
C。
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and
オフィ
destinations.
スになってきた
Down
ね。
one path lay an enormous
モ
round
ニターと
room
バインドコン
with
トロールがあ
monitors
る
and
延長の
mind
巨大な。
controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
B。B どこあった。
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Q。
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
押したらダメだって。エンター。適当に押しようや。押さなきゃダメ？
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Sir.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
When
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly, ever. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Hey. Oh? Está bien.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
さらばだ、スタンリーよ。ん
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator,
さらばスタ
as
ンリー、ナ
Stanley
レー
was
ターが
led
叫ぶと、
helplessly into the
スタン
enormous
リー、
metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in
抹
his
殺されまし
body,
た。
killing him instantly.
ん生きてるけど。ザ・スタンリー・パラドロア。
And yet it would be just a few minutes before
相変わらず
Stanley
元
would
気にオフィス
restart
に
the
戻ってい
game
くのです。
back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly
ナレー
did the
ターを、
narrator
あ、
think he
彼
was
が
going
一
to
体何を成し
accomplish?
遂げようとしているとか。
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes
生きるの
meaningless,
と同じことで
making life
死
the
は意味を
same.
失い、それは生
Do
き
you
る
see
と
now?
もうわかりま
Do you
すか？
see that Stanley was
そうか。
already dead from the
彼
moment
は
he
もう
hit
すでに死ん
start?
だということがわかりますか？スタンリーのオフィスから2つのドアまでの経路で、このゲームで手分けされた最初の部分です。開発の関係追加変更されましたが、核となるレイアウトは最初のものとほぼ同じです。2つのドア。風景が飛ぶ棚。オフィスのパソコン。あ、ゲームしてる。消えた。クレジットです。そして火の打ちどころのないくらいのナレーター。こちら上皮の薄。
Came to the lift. He traveled upward to the power source at the top of the facility. Stanley stood on end this injustice forever. Then he pushed the knob.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
ガコン。
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
エス
As
ケー
long
プ
as you
と終
move
了って
forward,
何？
you'll be...
エスケープ。 メニューを終了する。では、明日も仕事なので、この辺で終わりにしたいと思います。それじゃあ、ご視聴ありがとうございました。またねー。またやるかわかんないです。じゃあ。